Let's go through some key terms. And first off, did anyone find the document for meiosis on the website? There's a great cliff notes that I wrote on chapter 13 on the website. Yes, that's correct. Did you find it for chapter 13? It's really good. I wrote it myself.
Good job.
Thank you.
Very helpful.
Appreciate it. So here's some key terms that we need to know. Genetics, which is the study of heredity. And variation. Heredity is this concept of a transmission of traits. From one generation to the next. And variation is going to refer to differences in phenotypes, which would allude to differences in the genotypes. You all know the differences between the term phenotype and genotype, right? Connor, do you remember? The genotype is what your genes are saying. So the genotype would be basically what your DNA is. And your phenotype is going to be your physical appearance. Your genotype causes your phenotype. So you look like your DNA allows you to look. And then I just said that heredity is this fact that you get your DNA from your parents. So your look, your properties, your proteins, your everything is a parental thing. Not by choice, but by basically who your parents are and what they bring to the table. Right? So this is pretty simple logic. You look on a biochemical level or on a physical level to some degree like your parents. And your parents are themselves mixtures of their own parents. So you would have 4 biological grandparents, and you would look like a combination of those 4 individuals. You could trace this back to your great-grandparents, which would be a total of 8 people, and you look like a mixture of those 8 people. It's like pretty logical. Good? Very weird. We want to make sure that your parents are not like they're not literally giving you their eyes, right? Like the book actually spends like about a paragraph explaining like how your parents aren't like giving you a set of eyes. They're giving you the genes to cause like the eyes that you have, right? And if you read the first like 4 or 5 paragraphs, it like went into this concept pretty heavily that your parents aren't like granting you your physical appearance like a wizard or whatever. Like literally, it's just genetics. It's no choice. So I want to make sure that we get that. Is Joseph Tesmer okay over there? I know. I understand. So let's talk about some other key terms. Here's the next term, genes. The units of heredity. They're made up of DNA segments. So I'm thinking, well, you've obviously got tons of genes, thousands upon thousands of genes in all of your DNA. So it's like your DNA is this long, big, huge piece, and different little sections correspond to different little genes. Cool? Obviously, from our last little section, you see that genes are passed on to the offspring. You're getting your genes. You are the offspring of your parents. And that's occurring because when you were first formed, you were formed from 2 gamete cells. The vector, if you will, that's transferring those genes from your parents to you, your first cell. Right? Also, another thing about genes, we saw this in the quiz today. Bless you. Genes can be found at different loci. So each gene has a specific location, what we call a locus on the chromosome. So the gene for eye color is on one specific spot. We know where it is. The gene for insulin's at a different spot. Different genes, different locations. And we're actually getting into biology, like in the study of advanced biology. We're starting to get like an idea as far as to where things are at. Like we're getting a better idea on exactly which genes are in which spots, which means we can manipulate stuff a little bit more. Of course, you know that this is on chromosomes, so that's not too difficult. And as you could gather, you get from each parent 23 chromosomes. From each parent. If you will, it's kind of like you have one set of chromosomes to make your pair. It's much like saying that, like, I got 23 pairs of shoes. I hope you're listening. This is probably the best example I have for this stuff. You get 23 pairs of shoes from your parents. Okay, well, what meiosis is this idea that you actually get 23 shoes from your mom and 23 shoes from your dad, and maybe your mom is giving you a left foot or a right foot for a sandal, or a left foot or right foot for a boot, but together you have 23 pairs of shoes, 23 pairs of chromosomes, getting a single shoe for each set from the parents. So your mom doesn't buy you a pair of boots, your mom just buys you the left boot, your dad buys you the right boot. Do you understand this logic? That right there, I think, is pivotal in understanding this stuff. We could dive into asexual reproduction, kind of as an offshoot, right through here.
Wait, real fast.
Yes.
And the karyotype is what with those chromosomes?
Whoa, what?
Oh, wait, in the karyotype when they're together.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't even gotten to karyotype yet.
Oh.
This is like how genes are packaged in chromosomes, and how the chromosomes are sent to the child, essentially. We do need to take a little offshoot. This doesn't have a whole lot of place in this chapter, but it needs to be mentioned because it is kind of the opposite of what this chapter is discussing. This chapter is all about sexual reproduction, and we do need to mention asexual reproduction, which is going to be a reproduction style that is obviously different than meiosis. This is going to be utilizing mitosis, specifically cloning, the cloning of cells, which means that